My name is Lori-Lyn. I am a painter and a writer. Welcome to my studio. Somewhere along the way, somewhere as I moved through my teenage years into my young adulthood, I decided, I believed that I had to make a choice between following the teachings of Jesus and going to a church where I could participate in ritual that was beautiful and meaningful to me, and everything else that I believed and knew to be true about myself spiritually, other traditions, experiences, the paranormal, women, the sacred feminine, the goddess. I felt like this was an either-or situation, that if I was going to be over here in a community, I would have to accept doctrine that I didn't believe in, and I would have to reject all of these other things that I did believe in. And so I chose the latter. I chose expansion. I chose with my heart the fullness of what I believe to be true and what I know to be true. Today is the feast day of Mary Magdalene. I've decided not to share with you the refrain that Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute. She wasn't. There's nothing in sacred text that says Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. But if she had been a sex worker, it certainly would not have diminished who she was, her sacred nature, or her importance. I decided I'm not going to talk about the feminine-masculine union and the idea that Mary Magdalene may have been the wife of Jesus. I'm not going to talk about any of that in today's video, and you can do your own research and find so many people who do talk about those things and discuss those things. Today, on the feast day of Mary Magdalene, I want to tell a very personal story about who she is to me and what she means to me. One time during my childhood, as I was growing up, going to church on Sunday mornings, I heard our priest say about Mary Magdalene, "We know that she is extremely important because we know her by her own name. She is not identified in sacred text as the wife of, or the sister of, or the daughter of." That really stuck with me. I held that in my heart. When I left church because it was not satisfying for me as a woman and it didn't really speak to the spiritual life that I wanted to have or was experiencing, I continued to hold Mary Magdalene in my heart. Later in my life, when I came back to study theology, to begin a study of church history and to really look at what this thing is that we call Christianity, it was the discovery of Mary Magdalene and the Gospel of Mary, Cynthia Bourgeault's book, The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, that helped me see I didn't have to make that very weird and disquieting choice between the ritual that had meaning for me, following the teachings of Jesus, or seeking to at least, and all of these other things that made up my spiritual life and my spiritual truth. That I could be my whole self, that I could be the entirety of my spiritual experience. That I could say, yes, love is the way, and here's the teacher of love. And at the very same time, honor and understand that there are many paths to that love. The Gospel of Mary is brief, what we have of it, what remains of it, but it is powerful and mystical. And what I find in Mary Magdalene, I almost want to say that she is like a sister energy, but she's also like a goddess energy. She is a powerful teacher and holder of space and unity. From a historical standpoint, we know that Mary Magdalene was a disciple, that she walked with Jesus, that she, most importantly, understood his teachings. She understood on a metaphysical level what he was talking about, what it was he was trying to bring to us. And we know from scripture that she battled these 7 demons, that she had burdens, that there were obstacles in her path, and that she was relieved of these obstacles. What were these 7 demons? The same types of obstacles that we all have, and perhaps her 7 chakras, the main energy centers in the body. I think it's very possible that when we learn about Mary Magdalene being freed of these demons, that what we're really learning about is someone coming into energetic balance so that she can ascend, so that she can understand these principles, these teachings. The most important thing that I have learned in theological study and studying the history of the church is that this very narrow and loud version of Christianity that we all hear in the media all the time, this what I think of as a very fundamentalist and literalist version of Christianity, is not the only version. It's in fact not the version of Christianity that I was raised with. I was never taught things about heaven and hell and making sure you go to the right place after you die. That has never been taught. That was never taught to me. It was never something that I believed. But what we've all sort of accepted as what Christianity is, that's just one version of Christianity. And if you go back into the history of the church and you look at what was happening, even in the time of Jesus, there was a lot of disagreement among the people who followed Jesus when he was alive, and then immediately afterward, as what we now think of as Christianity began to form and people started meeting and gathering and coming up with ideas. There were many different versions, many different ways that these teachings were brought into community. This way that we know of now, this is the one that really took hold. This is the one that has really spread and it has legs, it has a voice, we know about it. But it's not the only way. And what I really learned when I started walking with Mary Magdalene, when I dove into the Gospel of Mary and then also the Gnostic Gospels, when I started to explore and allowed myself to really listen, I came to the understanding that I didn't have to make that difficult choice. I could allow all parts of me to be. I could honor all facets of my spiritual self and my understanding. That there was no piece of doctrine that I, as an individual, needed to wholly accept or take on if I didn't agree with it in my soul. That I could be a part of a spiritual community. I could receive the Eucharist. I could participate in ritual that has meaning to me, while still honoring all parts of myself and my own wisdom, my feminine wisdom. I could work with oracles. I could consult with mediums. I could listen to great Hindu teachers and Buddhist teachers, and I could honor all of the paths of spirituality as paths of love, while still honoring what I believe to be true about Jesus and the teachings of Jesus. I believe the Christ has always been with us. The Christ is a light. It is a love that has been here since the beginning of time. And I believe that we are each loved wholly and abundantly as we are. What I love about Mary Magdalene has very little to do with religion. It has everything to do with energy and feminine wisdom and walking one's path with courage. That's what she means to me more than anything, is someone who is willing to be in her truth, even when being in her truth was dangerous, even when she knew her own life was put at risk. And then, for centuries, to have her story mistold, to have her name used in a way that was not representative of who she was, to have her own history suppressed, hidden, buried. Still she exists, still she remains, still she rises. She couldn't be buried. Mary Magdalene is strength. She is compassion and love and wisdom. You have a right to be who you are. You were born to be who you are. And no one else, no governing body, no religious doctrine, no priest, no teacher, no guru, no one can tell you who you are. You know who you are when you look into your heart. And in your heart, that's where your wisdom lies. The intuitive heart. That is where God is speaking to you in every moment. So it truly doesn't matter to me the path you walk, how you identify yourself as a spiritual being. Those pathways are as unique as we are as individuals. Spiritual wisdom is not about deciding which people are good and which people are bad. It's not about holding up one piece of doctrine and saying, this is the only way. It's about the beautiful expansion of diversity. Love is the way. Love. That's it. That's what I find when I walk with Mary Magdalene. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day.